Welcome to the podcast, Restore Yourself, Restore Your Marriage, where it's all about discovering the thoughts that get you in the mood, the thoughts that get you out of the mood, and how creating a deeper connection with yourself creates a deeper connection with your spouse. I'm your coach, Shelly Anderson, coaching you through life, love, and intimacy. This is episode number 132, The Perfect Gift for Yourself and Your Marriage. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining in today. We have an awesome podcast for you. This has been something that has been in the works for a long time, and today is a day we are going to dive deep into the perfect gift. Okay, so I want to ask you a couple questions to start this episode off. And the first one is this. Do you ever feel like your marriage could be better? Sometimes we think like, okay, I'm smart enough, my husband's smart enough. Why is marriage so hard? Why is there such a struggle? So I want you to think about that. The next question is, do you ever feel like the emotional aspect of intimacy is missing? A lot of my clients really struggle with this when they come to me for help. They feel like the emotional connection through intimacy is all but gone. And the final question I have for you to think about is, do you ever wish there was a simple solution to something as important as the concept of marriage and intimacy that doesn't feel like it's so big, right? We want a simple solution for these really important topics. Well, the good news is there is a simple solution, and we're going to talk about that today. So we're going to talk about Anderson Coaching's brand new program called the Make It Meaningful Membership. Yay! This is so exciting. We have found that putting our content in the form of a membership really creates awesome results because we're going to establish habits with consistency. We're going to stay actively engaged in a good cause. Right? We're going to stay engaged in the way we are thinking about things, and that is going to have a huge impact on every aspect of our lives. The more we improve our relationships, the more we improve our entire life. So the one thing I want to start off by pointing out is that this membership is for everybody. Everybody lives their life in the context of relationships. So if you're single, or if you're engaged, or if you just got married and you're in that newlywed phase, or you're married and have been married for a while, or even if you have been divorced and you are now remarried, this membership is for you. This membership is all about relationships and how we think inside those relationships. So it really doesn't matter where you are, if you're single or married or somewhere in between and trying to figure it out. This membership is for you. And we will always have different sections and categories of the membership that will address each of those categories and their specific needs. So we've got you covered. We've got everyone you know covered when it comes to relationships. Now, I want to start off by explaining how this membership works and what it's based on and its foundations, because these foundations are going to be interwoven throughout the entire membership. So first of all, I want to point out that the membership is going to be based on the self-coaching model. And while there will be plenty of opportunities to talk about spirituality and physical health and many other aspects, the basis of the membership is the self-coaching model. And all the tools and every lesson is going to be using the model as the foundation. So we will be referring to that quite a bit. In fact, probably in every lesson. And so when you join the membership, there's going to be a video that explains the self-coaching model to you so that you will always understand what it is that we're talking about. And along with that concept comes the idea of this membership being a safe space. We're going to talk about some difficult things that maybe you have not felt comfortable talking about or discussing or thinking about before. And I want you to know that this membership was created to be a safe space where you can combine all of your beautiful values and morals and religious beliefs with the concept of intimacy. Those don't have to be competing. They can be beautifully interwoven into your life. And this is the space that we've created, is for you to be able to explore how that works. If you've never done it before, it can seem super scary. But I want you to know that we will never tell you to turn to porn or kinky sex positions that you don't want to do. None of those things are in our solution. So I want you to feel so relaxed and so confident in moving forward and not have that fear in the back of your mind that, oh, maybe they're going to tell me to do that. We're not, okay? So I hope that puts your mind and your heart at ease. We're not going to tell you to do those things. So let's talk about the 5 pillars of what this membership is going to be based on. Every month, we're going to have a focus topic. This is like a theme. And it's going to be based on one of these 5 pillars. And these are like core concepts that we want to make sure we keep in the forefront of our mind throughout the year, because these are foundational to us making progress on a personal level, but also in our relationship. So the first pillar has to do with communication skills. Man, this is so important, and it had to be included in this membership. Whenever I've held a workshop or had a questionnaire for people to fill out, it's so interesting the answers that have come back. Usually when I say, what's the biggest challenge that you struggle with in your marriage or with intimacy? They always have a really big one as their number one. And obviously that changes from couple to couple. But always, number 2 is communication. We struggle with communication. I don't think it's clear. I don't think it's effective, or we're not having much of it. And so communication that is effective is going to be one of the main pillars that we talk about in this membership. And so that means at least twice a year, maybe even 3 times, we are going to talk about specific communication skills and techniques and give you examples of things that you can actually say, so that in case you're not used to it and you can't think of exactly what to say in certain situations, we'll give you those starting points so that you can adopt them as your own. And as you get used to them and comfortable with them, then you can expand and use them in your own ways. The second one is going to be about self-care and healing. A lot of us come with baggage, whether it's from our parents or our childhood or teenage years, or sometimes even our young adult years. Maybe a lot of negative things happened, or we have that one ex-boyfriend who really did a number on us. Or maybe we're just really carrying around a lot of negative things that happened early on in our marriage. So we want to make sure that we address how to navigate those things from the past when they come up and try to actually heal them. That means we're going to face them, we're going to accept that they happened, and then we're going to talk about real ways to heal them. And along with that comes the concept of self-care, We know that self-care is so important. And for us moms who have careers and children, we know that self-care usually falls to the very bottom of the list. And when that happens, man, everything seems to fall out of balance. And so we're going to put the balance back into our lives by making sure that we pay attention to the different aspects. And so as we approach the concept of self-care, we're going to really think about it in the form of the pieces of ourselves. It's the pie that makes up who we are as a person. And so there's 6 different pieces. We have the physical piece, how our body is doing physically. We have the emotional part of ourselves, the mental health. We have the social health, which is so often overlooked. We have the spiritual health, and we have sexual health. So as we include this pillar of healing and self-care, we will include all of those pieces and make sure that none of them get neglected. Okay, the third pillar is going to be the emotions of marriage and relationships. Now, this is such a valuable concept. When we approach this pillar throughout the year and throughout the membership, we're going to take one emotion at a time and really dive into it and observe how that emotion is showing up in our lives, in our relationship, and the effect that it's having. So, for example, a lot of times in marriage, if you've been married for even a couple years, if things haven't gone your way in a particular area, you're going to realize that the emotion of resentment is probably residing there. And so that could easily be one of the emotions that we take a deep dive into and do a lot of thought work and personal self-observation to really explore how the concept and emotion of resentment is playing out in our lives. Because when we show up in our relationships with resentment, it is going to affect how we communicate. It is going to affect how we interact with our spouse, how we interact with our kids, how we interact with our neighbors and everyone in the community. Our emotions are at the core of all our behaviors and all the actions we take in life. So we are really going to focus a lot on our feelings. The next pillar really has to do with intimacy. It has to do with our desire, our arousal, and intercourse. We are going to dive deep into these concepts, and that is the purpose of this membership. Is we're not going to talk about it on the surface levels anymore. We are going to really challenge the concept of how to become deeply spiritual and deeply sensual, and how that is a beautiful place to live our lives. As we dive into those topics, we are going to explore many wonderful things. So if this has been a challenge for you, you are in the right place, and this membership is for you. And finally, the 5th pillar, we're going to take this knowledge and we're going to expand outward. And so the 5th pillar is extended relationships beyond marriage. So this could be a time where we address our relationship with our own parents. It could be our relationship with our in-laws. It could be our relationship with our friends or our neighbors or, the people in our community. It could be our relationship with God. We are going to really take the concept of relationships and look at all the different kinds that we have and see how we can improve them and enhance them so that all aspects of our relationships are being addressed. So those are the 5 pillars that will guide the monthly topics and the monthly themes of the membership. Now, the other 2 components that are going to be interwoven throughout every month and throughout every focus topic is going to be the self-coaching model. And this is going to be detailed for you in your welcome videos in the membership and explained very clearly. And you're going to have worksheets that have it written out for you so that you can refer back to it as you're learning it so that it's easy to access. And we're also going to be referring to something called the intimacy trek. And for the months that we really focus on our desire for intimacy, our libido, our lack of our libido, the differences in the wife's libido and the husband's libido. When we talk about intercourse and orgasm and the 6 categories of arousal, whenever we talk about those concepts, we are going to bring it back to this tool called the intimacy trek so that we can understand where it is in the journey and in the sequence of the intimacy trek that we start to apply those concepts. That way there's a system in place and there's an order in place with the way that we're thinking about things. That way we can understand if there's a hiccup somewhere and something's not lining up, we can know where in the order to address things. And that is going to be so beneficial and so helpful. So now I want to get into a little bit of the details of the membership, and I want to look at it from a monthly point of view. So let's say you sign up for the membership and this is your first month. What does that look like? Well, the first thing you're going to do is just familiarize yourself with the website and where everything is on the membership part of the website. You will be able to watch an orientation video, and you're going to have 3 welcome worksheets to fill out. And these welcome worksheets are so valuable. The first one is just an information and resource page. So you will be able to put in your login information there and your password so you don't have to memorize it all the time. It's going to give you a few helpful tips for the membership and how to navigate it. It will list the 5 pillars so you can have them in your mind. And it will also clarify the monthly schedule for you. What happens on week 1, 2, 3, and 4 of every month. And on that page is where you're going to find the self-coaching model written out for you, as well as the intimacy trek. The second welcome worksheet is going to be where you get to kind of take a big breather in your life and start to write down everything that's going wrong, right? The challenges that you're facing, the struggles that you're going through. I think we all know that writing things out and journaling is super beneficial and very cathartic. And so you're going to have this worksheet to be able to do that, to get your thoughts, the thoughts that are in your mind and taking up all that valuable mental energy, and you're going to put your problems on paper. That is going to feel so wonderful to get it out of your head and written down so you can look at it from a different angle. There are going to be 5 questions on that page that is just going to allow you to think about things a little bit differently and to actually write it all out. And then on the third welcome worksheet is going to challenge you to make a personal promise to yourself that you are going to do this work. This work is not about anybody else. It's not about your parents or your siblings or even your spouse. This is going to be your promise to yourself that you are going to do this work so that you feel better inside. And it's going to give you a guideline of how to set yourself up for success. And it's going to ask you to think about your schedule and to dedicate at least 1 or 2 moments throughout your week that you can actually work on this. We know from science that if we put certain things into our schedule with consistency, that's where things become habit. That's where they become effective. And then we don't look at those things as like burdensome and hard to fit in. When you put it into your schedule, way more effective. Then at the final part of that worksheet, it's going to ask you to do something you may not have done before, and that's going to be to anticipate what the obstacles might be that keep you from doing this work. It's going to ask you to think through those, write them down, and what your plan is to overcome those obstacles when they show up. So you're going to write those things down in detail so that when they do happen, and they will, you will have already established a plan of what you're going to do about it. So we want you to do those worksheets so that you can set yourself up for the most success. Okay, now let's talk about some of the good stuff about each week in the month. So every month we're going to have a monthly focus topic. These are the themes that are based on the pillars. In week 1, this is going to be the self-observation week. You will have what we call discovery sheets. These are the fun worksheets that as you fill them out, you're going to realize what you're doing already on that monthly focus topic. You're not learning anything new yet. You're going to self-observe and see where you're getting stuck, where you're getting trapped. And the way that we do that is to see what we're normally doing in our everyday lives. So when you fill out your discovery sheet, the questions are very well thought out questions. And they're probably going to seem very normal to you, but they're based on self-coaching and life coaching principles. And so it's important to take the time to really think through them and say, hey, what am I doing? Am I blaming my spouse for this? Am I really being super stubborn and stuck in the way I'm thinking about this particular topic, this monthly focus topic? It's going to ask you a series of questions to see what you're currently doing. When we have that awareness of what we're currently doing, then when we receive the new life coaching knowledge, we're going to know how to make changes. We're going to say, this is what I was doing, and I'm going to need to do something different. And now I'm going to know what that is. So week 1 is all about self-observation. So at the beginning of week 1, we start every week on a Tuesday. You will receive an email and it's going to say, hey, everybody, this is the monthly focus topic for the entire month of January or February, whatever month it is. And then since this is week 1, it's going to be self-observation week. So every week 1, you will fill out that self-observation worksheet according to that theme. Now, week 2, you will receive another email that says, hey, everybody, this is week 2, and this is New Knowledge Week. In this email, you will receive a video that will dive deep into that monthly topic. This video is probably going to be about an hour long. Sometimes it's a little bit less, sometimes it's more. But this is where we really dive into the details of one concept. You will also have a discovery sheet to fill out, and that's going to be mainly for you to take a lot of notes. And after you've taken notes of the things that really stand out to you, it's going to ask you some questions about it. So that is going to be the week that you receive life coaching skills and knowledge. You will be challenged in new ways to take a look at your old thinking and your old ways, and now to start applying this new knowledge. This is where we bloom as a person. We're going to take this new knowledge and we're going to start to apply it. We're going to try it out. We're going to experiment. And so on that discovery sheet, you're going to have a section that's called Do and Discover, because you are going to discover more about yourself in regards to these concepts as you do them. I want you to be able to release all expectations of doing it perfectly, right? That's not what this is about. This is about doing it and doing it messy if you have to. It's totally okay. We accept all the messiness here. In fact, we welcome it. We want you to dive in deep and just try things out. Experiment with this new knowledge. Get it wrong. Get it wrong lots of times, because then you're going to discover that that's not the right way, but like we're going to try it another way. We're going to try that again. This process is invaluable, and it's usually really fun. It's really fun to be involved in this type of discovery. Okay, week 3. This is live coaching week. On the third Thursday of each month, we will have a live coaching session through Zoom. And this coaching session is going to be focused on the monthly topic. We're not going to be coaching on a million things. We're going to dive deep into this one topic and very specifically how the self-coaching model is being applied. So in week 3, when you get your email at the beginning of week 3, you are also going to get a discovery sheet that says, now is the time to start using the self-coaching model. And you will see on your discovery sheet multiple self-coaching models. And you get to fill all those out. You get to say, this is my thought, I'm writing it down, and this is how it's affecting my life. This is my other thought about it, and this is the emotion that it creates inside of my body, and this is how it's showing up and affecting my life. You have multiple models to fill out and work through so that you can be involved in this process and see what your own brain is doing and the results that it's having in your own life. So when you come to the live coaching session, we want you to have some models already filled out. So you can say, this is what I was trying. This is how I was experimenting with the self-coaching model. Did it work? Did I do this right? Or this is where I'm still getting stuck, right? We really want to focus on using the self-coaching model with whatever you're struggling with in that live coaching session. Those will usually last about an hour, give or take. There are some moments in some instances where we will be in the middle of coaching someone and we run a little bit over time. So just allow for a little bit of that flexibility to be there. But make sure that you think about, man, do I have enough courage and to actually be coached on that live coaching call? It does take courage to be vulnerable and say, I'm really struggling with this. I want to offer to you to have a lot of compassion on yourself at this time, during this week, and say, it's okay that it's a struggle for me. It's okay that this is new. I'm learning. I'm trying things out. It's going to be messy. And that's all right. We totally welcome the mess. But really think about how you can have an added measure of courage during week 3 to come to the live coaching session. Now, if you don't have the courage to be that vulnerable yet, that's totally okay. You will still learn a significant amount by listening to anyone else that is being coached during that Zoom meeting. So please do not feel bad or that you're missing out on something. But I do want to say that the most valuable work will be when you get coached yourself through the live coaching session. Now, finally, week 4. This is the week where we reflect, refine, and contribute online. This is going to be the week where we go through our discovery sheets. It's going to ask us some very specific questions of how we're going to apply what we're learning in a very real way and the changes that we're going to make in our lives. It's going to ask you to reflect on everything that you learn, to make a few adjustments and refine things. And it's going to ask you to share your wins on the community page of the membership. This is a chance for you to say, hey, this is the thought that was going through my mind, and this is how I was able to change that thought. And now I'm feeling so much better about whatever it was that you were going through. Being able to share those shifts in our thinking really helps other members be able to try to adopt those new thoughts for themselves. And it works vice versa. When other members contribute their new thoughts and their new way of thinking. You could also try them if you find that you are struggling with something similar to them. So it really is a win-win situation. Now, on this community page, there is no room for negative comments, right? This is a safe space. So we want to make sure that we maintain the respect that this community page deserves, that each of you deserves by being there and by showing up. So we're not going to be giving advice to other people. We're not going to be saying, hey, you should do this or you should do that. We're not going to pretend that all the members are coaches. We're going to leave the coaching to the coach. But this page is going to be where you share your new thoughts and your shifts in thinking or your shifts in mindset. And you put those out there so that all members can benefit. And the other thing to keep in mind with week 4 and this concept of contributing online is to go to social media. Marriage is being attacked from all angles and all aspects and in many different ways in today's world. And this is your opportunity to be a force for good, to get back on the internets and to put positive things out into the world when it comes to marriage and relationships and say, yeah, this is hard, but look at my new thinking. Look how this thought really had an impact on my life. Look what life coaching has helped me do. Maybe try this membership out. We really want to have a marriage movement on social media to help bring marriage back to the strong bedrock that it is of society. And so this is a way for us to be actively and anxiously engaged in an awesome, awesome cause on social media. So that's how each week kind of plays out throughout the membership. And if there's ever a 5th week in the month, we'll either do something special and spontaneous, or it's going to be just a way for you to have downtime and reflect on all the awesome work that you've done. Now, what else is included in the membership? Awesome stuff. Are you guys ready? Okay, there's going to be a library and a plethora, I love that word, a plethora of resources for you. And we will be continually adding to this library of resources. But as soon as you join, there is already going to be 4 courses in the membership. So this is going to include the mini course that's called Restoring Intimacy. There is also going to be a course that's called Marriage Enhancement. Now, this is the course that is part of the program that we offer to our engaged couples and our newlywed couples. We have had so many married couples who've already been married ask for this program because it's set up for something to focus on every month of the year. So for January, you're going to focus on well-being, and on a different month throughout the year, you're going to focus on financials. And then on a different month, you're going to focus on time management, right? So every month throughout the year of marriage enhancement, there is a focus, there's date night activities, there's a communication card of ways to communicate effectively, there's questions to ask each spouse that helps you understand this concept and one another better. And they're all based on the well-known and world-renowned SYMBIS assessment. And that is an assessment that is available to you right now on our website that if you take it and your spouse takes it is going to give you I think 12-page report of how your personality and your spouse's personality, how they mesh together as a couple. And so that report and that assessment has different categories. And so we've taken each of those categories and we've created this marriage enhancement program to coordinate with those categories so that you can have a deeper understanding of how to really enhance your marriage on those fundamental components. So you're going to get the marriage enhancement course absolutely free with this membership. Now, the third course that you're going to get is a spiritual course, and it's a course called Adventures with the Holy Ghost. This is a topic that people ask me about constantly, and so I created this course based on life coaching skills and principles. And so if you feel like you would really love to be able to have more access to the Holy Ghost in your life and really develop that relationship, you may not realize that there are probably things and ways that you've thought about it or approached that relationship that are probably holding you back. And so this course, Adventures with the Holy Ghost, challenges those. And each module of the course is set up in the form of an adventure, saying, hey, let's try this adventure so that you can become closer to the Holy Ghost and really be able to access all the wonderfulness of that relationship in your life. So you're going to get that course for free. And finally, the last course that you're going to get is the most in-depth, awesome course that we have available right now, and it's called The Emotional Intimacy Effect. Intimacy beyond sex. This is the course that we go the deepest into, and we will be referring to this course throughout the membership. There are going to be times where I pull clips right out of the modules and send them to you and say, we are going to work on this. We're going to dive deep. But in case you don't know about this course, I'm just going to give you a few of the modules so you know just how in-depth it is. We are going to talk about the 5 traps that most humans get into when it comes to the intimacy component of our relationship. And we're going to be able to look at them and see which ones we're getting stuck in the most. Right after that, we're going to talk about the 5 landmarks of living in a mature marriage and make sure that we're living our life where we're visiting these landmarks frequently with consistency. Then we're going to talk about true intimacy. What is the definition of intimacy, and are we keeping that definition at the forefront when we approach the sexual component of intimacy? But knowing the true definitions of intimacy really allows us to bring back the mental aspect and the emotional aspect of intimacy and say, hey, those are the foundations of the sexual aspect of intimacy. We are also going to talk about the intimacy trek and the sequence of that and the journey of our sexual experience and how things play out in a certain order. We're going to talk about why women don't want to have sex with their husbands even though they love them. We're going to talk about why women still have sex with their husbands even though they don't want to. Then we are going to talk about our libido, our desire to be intimate. We're going to talk about why it's low, what is blocking our natural desire to be intimate, and we're going to talk about what ignites our desire to be intimate. This is the biggest thing that women don't know about themselves. Husbands, they know this about themselves. We do not. And so it's going to be very important for us to be able to say, this is what turns me on. This is what doesn't turn me on. These are the things I can affect and put into my life now to help this side of myself. We're going to become very empowered as we discover those blockers and those igniters. For most women, they know exactly what blocks them and have no idea what ignites them. So you can see the challenge here. Women usually spend a lot of time focused and thinking about the blockers and hardly any time thinking about the igniters. So we are going to change that. And at the end of that course, we're going to talk about arousal, the 6 categories of our arousal flower. We're going to create our own arousal mocktails, putting in our fun ingredients that make us unique. We're going to talk about intercourse. We're going to talk about the 2 styles of orgasm. And finally, we're going to talk about something, a tool and a technique called the meaningfulness magnifier. And that is going to be taking the self-coaching model and using it even more effectively. It's awesome. We're going to expand one aspect of the self-coaching model into more detail so that we can really see what is the most meaningful aspect of intimacy for us. Does that sound fun or what? It's an awesome course, and I'm so excited for each of you to have access to that course for free in the membership. Now, as we get to the end of this episode, I hope that you will share this concept of this membership with everyone that you know. This membership is for everybody. If you know people who are single and they're in the dating world, this membership is for them because they will be able to improve themselves and their communication skills and so many things about themselves so that as they enter the dating world, they are doing so with actual relationship skills. We are going to develop the single side in much more detail in the next few months, so we are so excited. Singles, this is your space. You belong here. For people who are engaged, this is the place for them. We have a program just for the engaged and newlywed couples. It's called the First Night, First Year program, and it is in this membership. And so if someone is engaged or they just got married, they have access to that First Night, First Year program, but then they have access to all the membership stuff so that they have all the tools that they need to set themselves up for success in their marriage. And this is also for people who've been divorced and who've been remarried, and for people who've been married 5 years or for 35 years and everything in between and beyond that. This membership is all about ourselves, developing ourselves, and improving our relationships. So we hope that you will share this with everyone that you know. This membership is for marriages who are struggling with any aspect of their marriage, including intimacy. But this membership is also for marriages that are doing pretty well or doing okay. And it will just take your marriage to the next level. It will enhance it, and it will enhance each of your skills so that you're coming to the marriage table at a more developed self, as a more developed spouse. And that is going to add some fun new dynamics to the relationship. This membership is also such a wonderful space for women to learn about the sexual side of themselves for themselves. When women come to me as a client, they are usually struggling very deeply with this because they feel like they are engaging in intercourse and sex for their husband and for their husband's needs and their husband's desires, and not for themselves. And so we really want to encourage women to join this membership for themselves. You need to learn these things about yourself for yourself so that you can move away of viewing intimacy as spousal duty and more as self-discovery. When you approach intimacy from a mindset of self-discovery, everything about intimacy changes. This membership is also for the husbands, not only to learn about yourself, but also to learn about your wife. I promise you, your wife doesn't know these things about herself. And so if she doesn't know them about herself, you do not know these things about her yet either. So this is such a beautiful space for increased knowledge and understanding. This membership really is for both spouses. This is not a girls only membership. So with that being said, this membership is only $39 a month. And that is for both spouses. It's 2 people for the price of 1. A lot of memberships do not do that. They charge each spouse individually. But this is a membership that is for both spouses. We want both spouses to have access to this knowledge. But I also want to empower you that if your spouse is not on board yet, that is totally okay. I want you to have a lot of compassion for your spouse if they're not there yet. Have a lot of patience and love, because as you start making changes, they will become interested in what you're doing. And when they have their own interest in what they see you doing, that's going to be the most effective place for them to be, to want to start to join in on what you're doing. But even if they never do, this work is still just as effective. So don't think that if your spouse isn't doing it, it is not effective. That's not true. Okay? Our brain wants to think that, but it just isn't true. It's still effective. Now, with that being said, I'm going to have Nick jump on here real quick and just say, just share his perspective with life coaching, how it's changed him, and why he thinks this is just as valuable for husbands, but also for women to do, even if their husbands don't join right away. Okay, come on.
All right. So my experience with this, at first, when Shelly said that she was going to learn about these skills, I was like, okay, whatever. What? Are we doing this really new age thing or something like that? And I thought it was a little bit weird, but honestly, I didn't want to be part of it at first. I had my perspective from my male perspective, and I thought that intimacy was one thing. As Shelly started to learn these concepts and then also started creating these thoughts in her own mind, she started to change. And I was like, what's going on with you? And it was weird because she was more patient with me. She had more questions for me. She was more curious about the things that I was thinking and the feelings that I was having. And as she shared some of the thoughts that she had, I started to become more curious too. And so as you're thinking about this membership, as you're thinking about life coaching, you might be like, my husband will never do this. Okay, well, when it comes to problems in marriage, most husbands don't want to go to counseling either. There's no way they want to go to therapy. And it is like, it's tough to get them to go to do that. This is something that will change you in a way that is very unintrusive. It's a safe way to do it, and you'll just start to change. And you won't be like, well, I'm going to therapy, and make him feel bad because he's not going. You'll just start to change. And then he will become more curious about what you're doing. And to be able to do something that will help you so much and is designed to help you in a way that doesn't require huge bills for counseling or therapy, and will give you skills that will help your marriage, but also will help you with all relationships, it really is a no-brainer. So I got involved with this. Of course, I'm part of this coaching business that we have, but also this mission that we have to help marriages, because I fully believe in it. It doesn't contradict any of the spiritual beliefs that you have. It is very logical and it makes sense. It's built on true principles, and it will help you to find more joy. Whether you're struggling or even if you have a really good, strong marriage, there's always ways to improve, and that's the beauty of marriage. Marriage is to improve forever. There's no limit to how happy you can be in marriage. It's a lie to think that we should settle or we should just be okay with a mediocre marriage. That's a lie. So join the membership. It's worth it.
Yes. You're hearing it from a man, from a husband. And if there are any women listening to this and you're hesitant, like, oh, my husband is going to be so resistant to this, I want to give you a couple options to just think about and really offer to you. One, it's affordable. Do it for yourself. But the second option is throw it out there. Throw it out there and say, there's this membership and it talks about intimacy. I think I want to dive into that a little bit because could use a little bit of extra guidance about intimacy. I can't tell you how many husbands are so willing to dive into this topic through the life coaching format, because it does, just like Nick said, seem way less intrusive than trying to bring up 1,000 things from your childhood that we're going to talk about for the next 10 years with a therapist, okay? Husbands throw money at us when they find out what we're doing because they realize it's invaluable. And it's not just because we're talking about intimacy and sex. They understand on a deep level that there's more to it, and they don't know how to resolve the challenges that they're facing. So throw it out there. Throw it out there to your husband and say, hey, let's sign up for this membership. It's about intimacy. I want to dive into it. They will usually become the most supportive of that at that time. But even if they don't, sign up for yourself. Now, the last few things that are included in the membership is that you will get member discounts to future events. There's no doubt that in the future, we are going to be doing workshops and conferences and couples retreats and all kinds of fun things. And if you are a member, you will get discounts to those things. As a member, and when it comes to the library and your resources, we will continue to add things to that library. So it will constantly be expanding. And so I just want you to know that even though there's like 4 courses when you first join, we're constantly going to be adding things to that library. This is a perfect gift any time of the year. This is a great gift for anniversaries, for a birthday, for holidays, for National Donut Day. This is a great gift. But if you're listening to this right as it comes out, we know that Valentine's Day is coming up. And what a more perfect gift. You can't find a more perfect gift than this, and saying, hey, let's work on our marriage, let's work on our skills, and let's work on the emotional connection between us through the Make It Meaningful membership. This membership will be launching it February 1st. That's when you can purchase it for $39 a month. You don't have to make big payments for this membership. It's just $39 a month. Very affordable for most people. It is the gift that keeps on giving. So as we get to the end of this episode, I want to encourage everybody to really think about your marriage and where it is now. And I want you to think about what happens if you don't make those changes. Where will your marriage be in 5 years from now or 30 years from now? If you are struggling with intimacy, don't let that go on for another 40 years. Do not do that. There is no need to do that. This membership is for you. You are in the exact place you need to be, and this will help you through all of those challenges. So, February 1st is the big day, so get yourself ready to sign up for the Make It Meaningful membership starting February 1st. So you will be able to watch the orientation video, look around the membership magic part of the website, and start working on those welcome worksheets. That is very therapeutic and cathartic. And you will also see the information that was in there for January, which had everything to do with our confidence when it comes to the way we communicate. So there's already a lesson in there from the month of January. So February 1st, that's the big launch date. So be looking forward to that and get ready to sign up. Because remember, the more you restore this type of intimacy with yourself, the more you restore it with your spouse. Thank you so much for listening today, and we hope you will join us again next week.